Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. Hope you had a lovely Easter holiday weekend. And coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, it's gloom and doom pretty much all week long. We've got heavy rains to deal with, snow up in interior New England and upstate New York, severe weather across a good chunk of the eastern half of the United States. It's all going to play out in the next several days. And we'll be talking about this all tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. I'm sorry, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Still doing late starts as Joe Rayo continues his library talks on the upcoming eclipse. So the satellite this morning is loading up, but we've got a lot of clouds and a lot of moisture coming out of the Pacific and into the south. You can see clouds are spreading eastward there. We have an area of clouds and some rain moving through parts of the northern mid-Atlantic states this morning. And we've also got some action back up going on in the northern plains. So all of this is just going to make for one miserable week of weather. As we check the radars out this morning, here's this first surge of rain. The northern edge of this kind of cuts off just to the north and east of New York City. Some rain's going to get in here this morning. There's some heavier rains across Pennsylvania, down into Maryland and southern New Jersey, back into eastern Ohio. That area is moving east. Meanwhile, as we look out further to the west, we're starting to see moisture gathering in the southern plains, as well as up in the northern plains. And this is going to be ahead of some severe weather that's going to develop later this afternoon and evening in the Mississippi and Ohio Valley. And as we check out the rainfall amounts for this week, which are going to be substantial, we'll just give this a quick update here and take a look at where we're going rainfall wise over the next 7 days. Actually, precipitation wise over the next 7 days, because for some areas it's snow. Across the northern part of the Ohio Valley through Pennsylvania, New Jersey, into New England, we're looking at a large area of an inch and a half to, in some cases, 2 or 3 inches or more of precipitation for this week. It tails off a bit in the southeast, about a quarter of an inch, some half-inch amounts in parts of the Tennessee Valley, and then down into northern Alabama. Out in the west, we have some heavy precip up in the northern Rockies, as well as in the Pacific Northwest, on the order of 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half. And in that area of purple there in Idaho, we're talking about 2 to 3 inches of liquid precip there. With regards to snow for areas in upstate New York, now this takes us through Thursday morning. It's going to go beyond this, but at least through Thursday morning, this is the probability of at least 4 inches. And you see it's mostly up in interior New England, upstate New York, maybe kind of nosing down parts of the Catskills, but particularly in the Adirondacks and extending on up into Maine. We also have areas of snow potential in the northern Great Lakes of 4 inches or more. In the Northwest, not a whole lot here, at least through the first half of the week. Just some small geographic areas where we see probabilities of 4, and they're not really all that elevated. And in the long range, as we take a look, this is for Thursday into Friday, where we have WPC indicating a rather high probability of at least uh, a few inches in the Adirondacks through Vermont, New Hampshire, and on up into Maine. And I'll just widen this out so we could take a look at the west. We start to see some snow coming into the west in the northern Rockies and in the Sierra Nevadas. And then that continues there for Friday into Saturday, back into the east. By the time we get to Friday into Saturday, most of the accumulating snow will be done with. So it's all about a storm system that is coming out of the plain states. You see that low there in Kansas. There's a frontal boundary that extends eastward to northern Virginia and into Maryland. So in those areas south of that warm frontal boundary, that's where we have the severe weather risk today. The Storm Prediction Center is going back to the first day, which is today into tomorrow. We're looking at enhanced risk from Oklahoma up into northeast Texas, Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, much of Missouri into Illinois in enhanced risk. The slight risk pushes into southern Ohio and into portions of West Virginia. The tornado risk is elevated as well, 5 to 10% from Oklahoma and northeastward into northern Kentucky and southwest Ohio, that 10% area in northeast Oklahoma into southwest Missouri. As we move on to tomorrow, the severe weather area is going to shift to the east in the Ohio Valley, down into the Tennessee Valley, where we have a slight to enhanced risk that goes down into northern Mississippi, Alabama, and northern Georgia, as far north as central Ohio and into West Virginia. Marginal risk kind of pokes its nose across northern Virginia into the Delmarva Peninsula. And here, too, we have an elevated tornado risk of 5 to 10% being indicated in the enhanced area. And day three, we have marginal risk. Day three is Wednesday into Thursday. Marginal risk across central Florida, as well as eastern North Carolina, much of Virginia, into Maryland, southernmost Pennsylvania, southern New Jersey, and over the Delmarva Peninsula. So our low is going to start to move to the east very slowly. There's this lead wave that goes out this morning and takes the rain to the southeast. There'll probably be a bit of a break. Then the low starts to push northeastward through Missouri. More rain comes in Tuesday, and the low center goes up into the western lakes. It's going to redevelop probably off the New Jersey coast, but it's a very, very slow process. So once this rain gets in on Tuesday, it's probably going to continue right through the daytime Wednesday. And you start to see the snow break out in upstate New York and into northern New England with this as the new low forms there in southern New Jersey Wednesday night, and then starts to slide eastward. We'll probably start to see a bit of a break from New York City south and west on Thursday, but there still could be some showers around, and there still will probably be a lot of clouds because we're going to be underneath this large low pressure area in the east. On Friday, things start to relax a bit as winds turn more northwesterly. Still can't rule out the chance that there could be a shower. Much of the time this week, we're going to be struggling with temperatures not getting out of the 40s. So, I mean, this is really a miserable gloom and doom type of week. The good news is going to be the weekend because then we'll probably have that low pull to the east. Still some leftover precip around, possibly even into Saturday. But I think by Sunday we should dry out. And then Monday, week from today, we have that eclipse, the total eclipse of the sun with the path running up from in a narrow band from Texas northeastward into upstate New York. And it looks like next Monday, for much of the eastern part of the United States, the weather is going to be nice. So just have to get through. The spring is the absolute worst part of the year for the Northeast and Northern Mid-Atlantic states. It just the cold ocean, and you get these situations sometimes with lows and northeast winds for days on end that you just sit in this miserable gloom and doom type pattern. But we'll try to make it a little bit happier and discuss it in its entirety tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.